let's talk about Tropic Thunder. So this was Ben Stiller's satire on acting, on filmmaking in general, and it was done brilliantly. For anybody that's been on a set, you can the nuances there. You're featured early in the film. You play the uptight waiter in the Fatties trailer.
French waiter.
Yes, French. Very yes.
Yes, and very well played as well. So when you're shooting a trailer, I was curious when I saw this. Is it scripted as we see it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's
scripted as a trailer.
So I was lucky, super lucky, because I actually got to work a couple days punching that movie up with a lot of people.
Mhm.
So there was like a room with really funny people. So I knew the script before I was asked, before Ben asked me, come in and do this, French waiter thing. So they wrote the trailers like trailers, and that's sort of the teaser of the of the movie itself. I believe it's the first scene.
you are the first actor we see on screen. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's funny. So that's why. And so now I remember.
your movie.
So my
Yes.
name comes up first in the credits. That was astonishing because when I went to the screening and the credits come up and it says Jeff Kahn. So yeah, it's written the different trailers for the different, and they were also parroting trailers, right?
Yes.
The big movie, Eddie Murphy playing every different role, and then the art movie where two guys, the Brokeback Mountain kind of,
Satan's Alley.
yeah, Satan's Alley. But what was it? Was that the one where they're medieval monks?
Yeah, Tom McGuire
Yes.
and RDJ going at it, you know.
So funny.
I'd watch
That
it.
one I loved.
Yeah.
I'd go see it.
That's really fun. So yeah, that's, and because of that scene actually took a couple days to shoot. It was, because Jack had to come out and do the different characters and reshoot the scene in every different character's POV.
What is your beats like? Because again, you come from world, you've improv, you've done scripted. But let me ask you this:
Right.
What is it like when, like you say, all these characters are being cut up in different, and you having to?
Well, that's a whole different thing than like Judd's scene. Like that's a real
Okay.
technical scene, right? So Jack has to get into his makeup and do the one fatty, do those lines, and then has to do the takes when the other characters say the lines, right? So that's still on Daddy Fatty. I can't even remember all the different. There was like a daddy or
Right.
mom fatty and a sister.
Yeah.
And so then if he's the daddy fatty, then he does his lines as daddy fatty, and then he's got to do his close-ups of when he's reacting to other people,
Mhm.
right? And then switch. Jack is now the sister, and then the sister does her lines, and then she's got to do it, and then they put it all together. And Judd's thing is like basically the wide shot of what's happening, right, with the parents from, I guess, over the shoulder of Steve Carell's wife. Forgot her name, but she's brilliant. And then the three different setup close-ups of the parents and the kids. The Keckner does his thing with his kid, and then great state actor guy, he does his with his daughter, and then on me.
Yeah.
And so it's a much easier scene. The fatty scene is very complicated, and there's a lot of like little, there was a camera crew that did the close-ups of the my hand and the hitting a glass, and so there's a crew doing that, and then there's another, so like two crews are shooting at the same time to get
Mhm.
everything done. Ben's, it's a really good filmmaker, and he's very he thinks like a filmmaker, as you can see in Mitty. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
he really has a
Tropic
visual
Thunder,
sense. He's very
Yeah.
different. Judd's more like, I'm going to tell the story, right? I'm just
Yeah.
tell the story, and I'll let the actors kind of.
I mean, Tropic
Dude,
Thunder is not only was he flexing his amazing body that I did not know he had, but he was also flexing his directing skills and filmmaking skills, because you could put that movie up with the wartime movies that it is parodying. It is the cinematography. I mean, John Toll is going on to do Matrix 4. So I mean, it's there.
Almost like the most serious, funny action movie, military-wise ever, and because it's not shot as if a joke.
No. But that's Ben's thing, right? And Ben's idea of comedy. It's serious, right? Even though it's a parody and a satire, there's parody elements in it, and it's very satirical about Hollywood, about filmmaking, about actors, about agents, about the world behind, the sort of behind the scenes world of that. And there's even high farce in that, with him acting out the character for the people in the drug camp. Like, so there's a lot going on, but even within all of that comedy, he wants to make it look great.
Mm-hmm.
He's always wanted to make those shots, to make the product look good, all the way back to Elvis Stories. He is very insistent on how it was going to look. Saw himself as a director, first.
Right. I do know
that's
that.
what he wanted to do. And that the acting and the writing was all supposed to be supplemental to this thing that he really wanted to be a great director.
I did read up on it. Let me ask you this, because you went into great detail earlier about how complicated that scene was. Like, as you remember, it's trying to cut into different crews working all together to make sure that shot happened. But out of all of the intros, all of the parody of the trailers in the beginning, that's the one that most feels reminiscent of a real skit, the trailer and sketchy type feel, like what you guys did with the Ben Stiller show. So, was there any moments while they were filming it?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the high concept comedy, right?
Okay, yes.
Right. So they wanted to create different stars who were stars for different reasons, and then blend them into the one movie. Mm-hmm. Right. So they, instead of like expositionally telling the background, like you're the guy who does the stupid fatty movies, show, don't tell. Right.
That's right.
Right. So they show them in who they are before we meet them. So we know these guys are not going to get along, and they're not going to see filmmaking the same way,
right?
Without any exposition.
Was there ever a moment while you were doing that where, like, between you and Ben, where it's like, this is like the old days?
I don't have a lot of, Ben was really busy, but what I did have time to do was to improvise, play around. Like, there's a lot of downtime. Jack and I would be, not me, the French guy. I was doing, like, I had a character in my head, like, as I said, like, I'm like this guy who's not working as an actor, and he does a French accent, and so he gets this role, and I got a whole thing in my head so I could do this character, right? Yeah. So he wouldn't be Jeff Kahn, so he'd be some other guy. And so I'm just playing around with Jack, like, we're just like, I would talk to him as if he was the sister, the real sister. And I'm it's like, and I'd be like, you're kind of cute. and Jack would be like, no. And I'm like, yeah, no, you are. You're hot. And so we're like, between takes, I'm talking to his character and my character.
Man, he doesn't break till DVD commentary. Yeah, so you're just a guy playing a guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a perfect segue. What was it like working with Jack Black?
That's it. It was fun. He's really fun. I knew Jack for a long time. I was peripheral performer in the Actors Gang, which was Tim Robbins' theatrical group that Jack was a part of. I got to work with them a little bit, and then John Cusack created his own theatrical group in Chicago called New Criminals, I believe, and so it was based on Commedia dell'arte, which is a way of acting a style of acting from the Italian Renaissance that we learned that Tim was doing, and then John wanted to do it, and Jack was a part of that company, and so I knew Jack for a long time. I sort of saw Jack go from a guy. Jack auditioned for me when I was, and my writing partner, Aline Brash, who became Aline Brash McKenna, the amazing, brilliant writer who created Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and also wrote The Devil Wears Prada with a I worked with her for 5 years too, and she's doing all right for herself. So, she's absolutely brilliant, and I can't believe we haven't talked about it because and she put me on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend too, so I got to be in that show twice.
Oh, very nice.
So he auditioned for us several times, but he was very shy. He seemed to be either shy or he didn't really want the part, or because we really loved him and we wanted him to do it, but we couldn't get him past the network.
Yeah.
They would say, "Yeah, he seems a little green," and we're like, "No, he's really good. He's going to be a major star." He's not green. He's just shy. So
Wow.
yeah, I would ask Jack to come and audition for our pilots, and then then he became a huge star.
Now so the movie deals with a lot with the pretentiousness, the self-importance that's commonly associated with actors, and we don't want to throw anybody in particular under the bus. I'm not looking for like a name or anything like that, but is there a situation that you could recall that you could share that proves the existence of people like Tug Speedman or Kirk Lazarus, like an overly self-important individual?
Let's just say those people couldn't play those people unless they knew that they were those people.
Yeah, self-aware.
Who doesn't do that? They all do it. We all do. It's like attaching a self-importance to what you do. I mean, it's just like, it's so much a part of it. It's always been a part of Hollywood that people take themselves very seriously, and that they attach an incredible amount of significance to the work that they do.
Yeah.
Some of it is warranted, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
If they're the lead in a movie, there's there's a lot of pressure to be put, asses in the seats. To be a major motion picture star is a tremendous amount of pressure. Yes, they're incredibly compensated and they're indulged, and but when you need to perform and you need to be the greatest, I mean, like, look at Tom Cruise, who's amazing in Tropic Thunder,
Yes.
by the way.
Lance Grossman.
So funny.
Lance Grossman, yes.
Steals the movie. He never gives anything less than 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure there's nobody that takes themselves more seriously than Tom Cruise. I don't think I'm speaking out of school here, but the guy brings it.
Yeah.
Okay, he's great.
My wife is not a Tom Cruise fan, and she likes him in that movie.
His hands are so big.
So funny.
He
was the funniest person in the table read, and everybody in the world is at that table read, and Tom Cruise gets the biggest laughs.
Okay, now that's the table read. So let me ask you this. Now, this movie did not short for talent. I mean, even people from just the smallest character to the smallest parts. I mean, one word characters. Everybody had their moments. Let me ask you this: who was your favorite character?
I saw it a bunch of times, and I think each time I might groove on some new character. Of course, I loved this, and you could never do this now, and I don't even know if it's even. It's so bad.
Shake that shit up, man.
What's his name? The Australian actor that was playing. It was in blackface. He's in blackface.
The pigmentation surgery.
Yes, that performance is so good, though. It's so subtle and amazing, and
yes,
and he's so good. It's so wrong, and it's so good.
But is it wrong though? Because we talked, but when I watched this the first time, I didn't know it was him. I completely did not know it was him the entire time.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had this discussion on Martin Luther King Day.
We did, yes.
I don't know what to say about it because I have a relative who took a considerable offense to the quote going full. Not my line. Not saying that. It's in the script. Took a considerable offense and thought it was horrible that mental illness was treated that way. And I was trying to explain to him, it's like, see, what he's making fun of not mental illness. He's making fun of Hollywood types who don't understand
Right.
mental illness and so create these ridiculous, stereotypical, horrible caricatures of it. And he's like, not funny. So like, okay, all right, I'm not.
Satire is a very dangerous ground for comedy, especially nowadays where something can easily be, sound bites can be grabbed and things can be taken out of context. And there are people that get upset with like Always Sunny in Philadelphia because they hear that blackface is featured in an episode. They don't bother to watch the episode and understand that they're trying to convey that this is something that is ridiculous to do, leading by example.
But then I was saying, like, you know, other times I watched it and I would be like, really like just grooving out on Steve Coogan's.
Yeah.
His name?
I believe it's Coogan.
It's Coogan.
Yeah.
It's Coogan.
Right. I just because I love him and I just like, and I was like, you know what, that even though he gets blown up, he just kills me in the beginning of that. Right. He's just so funny. And then of course, Tom Cruise character
Yeah.
the whole way through, you know, as Les, what's his name? Grossman. Yeah.
Grossman.
Have you ever known an agent as good as Matthew McConaughey?
The Pecker.
Movie?
Well, I mean, I've known agents who have been good to their clients, but not to me. I've never had an agent that was that good to me who would die for me. I've had agents sort of fight for me a little bit, like try to keep me in their stead. But I've also like, you know, had agents that fired me too. So
Nobody's bringing a TiVo out to Vietnam for you yet, though.
yeah. Agents are funny. I had this story that when I was working with Tim Robbins on the Actors Gang, Jack was in this production, but it was at this theater in LA that used to have good stuff there on Sunset Boulevard called the Tiffany, and they were doing a show, and I was understudying it, right? And I was also being a PA. So I was helping them out, getting them stuff, and you know, for like $50 a week, and selling T-shirts outside, and feeling pretty lucky to be associated with Tim Robbins' Actors Gang. It's a famous theater, even back then. And so I got to go on a few times, and it was really fun. And after one of the times, a guy came up to me and he said, "You know, I really like what you did. You have a very unique look, and I'm a talent agent, and here's my card. Send me your photo resume," because we didn't have internet then, so I had to send it in the mail. And I'll give it to my people there, and if we like it, we'll call you in and we'll meet with you. And I'm like, great, because that's what I came out to do. So a couple of weeks later, I get a call. Martin Gage wants to see you, wants to introduce you to the other agents, and so can you come in a blah 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 day? And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get an LA agent. It's all happening for Jeff Kahn. So I go to see him, and he's like, you know, this is Jeff Kahn. He's got a really unique look. He's done some commercials. He's in the Actors Gang. Unique looking guy, right? He said, like, yeah, we love him. Like, you know, what a funny comedy reel. And then he brings me in his office, and I really like your reel. Very unique. You're a very unique guy. You should know that. My only problem is that I got 5 guys just like you. So I can't bring you on right now. But if you get a part on a TV show or a lead in a movie, then you got to call me, because we were really.
But that's
your job. That's his job. And what does that mean? Hey, you're really unique, but we got 5 guys just like you. No, I'm not.
That translates to this. I've just wasted your time for no reason. I can't get work for the other guys that remind me of you. And if I have 5 guys that look and remind me of you, then there's got to be at least 20,000 other Jeff Kahns in Hollywood. Probably the guy that wrote and directed Astonished and Revolution. And so good luck to you. But if you happen to luck out and win the lottery and get a lead in a movie, I want to
give me that percentage.
I was so dumbfounded by that comment. I was literally like when your stomach sinks, right? And I was without comment. I don't know what to say. Like, why did you? I was like, this is the last thing I thought he was going to say. Like, maybe we're going to hip pocket you and send you out on commercials and see how you do. Like it's like that was my low low expectation. Like they're not going to sign me per se, but they will bring me on to hip pocket me and see if I can get some work, and if I could generate some income, then they would sign me for a year and give me a break. But to be completely brought in and not completely carpet taken out from under my feet, I was just like, I was deer in the headlights, and I just walked out going past people, and I guess they knew because nobody looked at me as I'm doing the walk of shame.
That's him. They knew before he went in.
Wait, didn't that guy just leave? We saw somebody else come in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he just looked just like him.
Jesus Christ, man. Wow.
It's rough out there, man.
With Tropic Thunder, I know you talked about staying in character with Jack Black. Was there like a favorite memory that you have from that set?
My favorite memory from the set is that Ann and Jerry were there. So that's my favorite memory, because whenever I saw Jerry and Ann, I felt like I was a kid again back in New York and living with Ben, and those were my New York parents.
Gotcha.
And I loved them, and they loved me, and they were so nice and supportive and loving to me, and that they were both there. And I got to talk to them and hang out with them and hug them and kiss them and talk to Jerry, who was always such a supporter of mine, and Ann was always so funny. I actually got to punch up a movie that Ann was in once too, and I got to see her on set as well, and that to me was the big treat. And I got to spend like a day of kicking it with Jerry and Ann, people who opened up their arms and heart to me when I was in New York, and I'm forever grateful to them and to Ben for that.
That's something I've always appreciated about Ben Stiller's films, is it feels like a family affair. Like it feels like a very close-knit set where he has people that are close to him always involved in some kind of way. So it must make for a really, just a really positive atmosphere in the production.
Harry Ballstein. Zoolander. Let me ask you this before we finally move on from Tropic Thunder. Is there anything else you think the fans of the film may appreciate knowing, something you picked up or something they may not know that's out there? If not, because you've discussed it in nauseum, but I just want to think.
Well, I just think it's so funny that these people like like Ben always was vain about not out of school here. He was always like a really cut guy.
I was surprised because I'm like, Greg Fokker. Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. Well, underneath those sweaters, chiseled.
Yeah, but he always comes off with this air of like the awkward guy, and to see like how are you are a good actor if you can play awkward or not self-assured and be working with that underneath the shirt.
Yeah, cut. Always in really good shape. Though I was always better than him in one-on-one basketball. It's the only thing I could win at with him. So I used to take him apart.
Why don't you subscribe? It'll last longer.